The perspectives and development in the African agro-industry present a promising outlook for the continent's economic growth and food security. DHL Africa CEO Hennie Heymans told business reporter Ntokozo Khumalo that the vast agricultural resources, fertile land and favorable climate offer significant potential. Here's the story.
Finding sustainable solutions to Africa's food security challenges was one of the key talking points at this year's Southern Africa-Europe CEO's dialogue. And for some detail around that, I am now joined by DHL Africa CEO, and that's Hennie Heymans. Thank you so much for talking to us. Now, a key focus has been saying that, ending poverty, trade has to play a huge role there. As DHL Africa, specifically when it comes to the agro-industry, what opportunities are there, but what bottlenecks do you also see across the continent?
So those are two really good questions. So maybe let me talk about the opportunities first. For us from a DHL perspective, we're fortunate enough to be involved in a number of thought leadership forums, such as the one where we're at today. And we have an opportunity to talk about the importance of the agricultural sector. And I think a couple of key statistics to remember when we talk about the agricultural sector is the fact that it's one of the biggest employers on this continent, both formally and informally. It's about 80 to 86% of the employment on this African continent. So I think that's an important statistic. I think another important statistic from a potential point of view to understand is that Africa is home to 60% of the arable land that is available. That is a wonderful opportunity that exists within the African continent. If you couple that with the SME growth, and we understand that SMEs are going to be absolutely critical for Africa to trade its way to prosperity. If we can put those two together, we have a fantastic opportunity to uplift poverty overall in a sustainable manner on the African continent. Now, the second part of your question was around the bottlenecks. I think there's a couple of bottlenecks that are particular not just to the agricultural sector, but also the S&Ts that operates within that. Of course, infrastructure, everybody talks about the lack of infrastructure. That is still a major bottleneck logistically and from a commercial point of view for our SMEs in the agri sector. Of course, the access to finance, everybody talks about. If you want to scale, you need finance. In order to get finance, you need to be formal and formalized, and there's still an enormous part of the SMEs that are not formalized on this continent. So those are some of the particular challenges. And then, of course, ICT, the ICT infrastructure. We heard earlier on somebody talk about 2G moving to 3, moving to 5G. 5G is critical for this continent, so we can participate in that technological advancement and the many benefits that it brings also to the agri-sector on the continent.
Now, obviously, the CEO dialogue is, the big boys and the big ladies having those discussions to unpack some of those issues and find those solutions. How do we then ensure that trickles down from the high-level discussions? So actually, as you said, in agriculture and the arable land, it's both formal and informal, that even those in the informal markets actually see those benefits and that implementation of whatever is discussed at venues such as this.
I think that for me is the key measure as to whether or not these forums and these get-togethers are practical. If I meet with a vanilla farmer tomorrow in Madagascar, I need to be able to answer him or her to say the difference that this forum will bring about. And what do I think those opportunities are? I think the opportunity is for policymakers, government and the big corporates that are all in attendance here today to actually afterwards to say these are the practical things we're going to implement. For example, the access to finance, policies that are more supportive of this sector, and of course trying to remove some of the complexities and the bottlenecks that we touched on earlier.
And the relationships between businesses and CEOs and the decisions and strategies we make here in Africa and those relationships with our European counterparts, how does that then play a part in ensuring that we do see that, fast tracking of those benefits of whatever strategies we come up with, whatever policies, whatever decisions are made at the high level?
I actually think that is a critical element of enabling this growth to take place. As DHL, we have the wonderful opportunity to be the intermediary, if you want, between policymakers, government, and of course bringing the word from the SMEs to try and help both parties understand the impact the importance and the changes that are required to everybody's benefit.
Hennie, thank you so much for talking to us. And of course, that is Hennie Heymans, who is the CEO for DHL Africa, just giving us some insights into the opportunities, but also bottlenecks that still exist in the agro-industry space, and the role that CEOs of various organizations in the different industries can do to actually see, the promotion of agro-industry on the continent. For Newzroom Afrika, I'm Ntokozo Khumalo in Maurus Ark in Johannesburg.